Olivia Watson gazed at the night view visible from the large office window as she finished her final proofreading. Good, I'll make tomorrow's deadline, she whispered to herself, stretching. She had established a firm position in the industry as a talented editor for the major fashion magazine, Mode Elegance. Her colleagues had long gone home, and she was the only one left on the floor. Checking her smartphone, she found several messages from her sister Ashley. Sis, you're coming to my engagement party tomorrow, right? You haven't replied. Olivia sighed slightly. Ashley's engagement party. She hadn't completely forgotten, but could she really make time for such an event the day before the magazine's release? However, skipping a family event wasn't an option. She knew all too well how much her mother Martha valued family gatherings. Of course I'll be there. It starts at 7, right? Olivia replied. Ashley's response came immediately. Thank you. James's parents will be there too, so dress appropriately. I know, Olivia replied with a wry smile. Ashley had made a habit of giving her such reminders, as if Olivia lacked social etiquette. Olivia grabbed her bag and left the office. As she climbed into a taxi, she began preparing herself mentally for tomorrow's family gathering. Conversations with her mother, in particular, were always tense. Olivia, are you still single? At your age and not married? What are you thinking? These phrases echoed in her mind. The next day, Olivia attended Ashley's engagement party wearing a carefully chosen navy blue dress. The venue was an upscale restaurant in Manhattan, with beautiful views of Central Park at night from the windows. As she entered the room, her mother Martha immediately noticed her. Olivia, you finally made it. Ashley was worried, Martha said, looking her up and down. Couldn't you have done something more with your hair? Good evening, Mother, Olivia replied coolly. I've been busy with the magazine release tomorrow. Work, always that excuse, Martha clicked her tongue softly. Look at Ashley. She manages to balance her work and personal life properly. Indeed, Ashley was radiant in the center of the room. Next to her stood a tall, handsome man, presumably James Foster. Ashley was wrapped in an elegant champagne gold dress, with perfect hair and makeup, looking like a model straight from a magazine cover. When Ashley noticed Olivia, she approached with a brilliant smile. You came. James, this is my sister Olivia. James smiled politely. Finally we meet. I've heard a lot about you from Ashley. Welcome to the family, Olivia said, shaking his hand. Congratulations, Ashley. You look truly happy. Thank you, Ashley replied, but her eyes were already searching for the next arriving guest. Oh, James's parents have arrived. Excuse me, I need to go greet them. With that, Ashley left with James in tow. Olivia remained alone and picked up a glass of wine. Olivia, a gentle voice called. Turning around, she saw her father Harold smiling at her. Dad, Olivia gave him a slightly tense smile. How's the magazine work going? Harold placed his hand gently on his daughter's shoulder. Good, busy but rewarding. I'm glad, Harold said, though his eyes showed a hint of concern. But your mother worries about you. About you being alone all this time. Olivia sighed softly. Dad, I'm happy on my own. My work is fulfilling, and I have friends. I understand, but... Harold paused slightly as if searching for words. For your mother, who values traditional family structures, some things are difficult. The conversation ended there. Across the room, Ashley was chatting happily with James's parents. Martha had joined their circle and was proudly holding Ashley's hand. Throughout the party that night, Olivia noticed Ashley's cold attitude several times. When introducing her, her sister simply said, "My sister Olivia," without mentioning her work or successes. In fact, she occasionally referred to her as, "My sister is a workaholic," as if it were a flaw. As the party drew to a close, Olivia decided to leave early. Before leaving, she approached Ashley. It was a lovely party, Ashley. James seems like a nice man. Thank you, Ashley replied, though her eyes suggested she was thinking about something else. You know, I'll be sending out wedding invitations next week. But. Never mind, Ashley suddenly changed the subject. I'll be in touch. Olivia was a bit puzzled but didn't pursue it further. As she climbed into a taxi, she contemplated the complexity of family relationships. No matter how hard she tried, she always felt like an outsider. Especially in her mother Martha's eyes, her being unmarried would always overshadow her success and be seen as a failure. A few days later, Olivia noticed that Ashley's wedding invitation still hadn't arrived. That next week, her sister mentioned had long passed. Feeling a bit anxious, she decided to call Ashley. Hello, Ashley. Olivia held her cell phone to her ear while gazing at the twilight view of New York City from her office window. Oh, sis. What's the matter? Ashley's voice had a mix of tension in it. About the wedding invitation, Olivia asked calmly. It hasn't arrived yet, so I was wondering if perhaps you had the wrong address. After a moment of silence, Ashley coldly said, Actually, Olivia, I've decided not to invite you. What? What are you saying? Olivia's voice trembled with surprise. The reason is simple, Ashley continued flatly. It's because you're unmarried. James's family comes from a traditional background. Having a 34-year-old unmarried woman attend would give them a bad impression. James's mother also said that having a single woman would bring down the atmosphere. Ashley, are you serious? I'm your sister, Olivia said in disbelief. That's precisely why. Ashley's voice was cold. Don't interfere with the start of my new life. This is also a business matter. I've already spoken with Mom and Dad. They understood. After the phone call ended, Olivia stood frozen. Her heart was wrapped in darkness. The next day, Olivia visited her parents' home to speak with them directly. Martha greeted her with cold eyes in the living room. Mom, Ashley said she's not inviting me to the wedding. I can't believe it, Olivia said with a serious expression. That, Martha took a sip of her tea, still seated on the sofa. I know. And you think that's okay? Olivia asked. Martha laughed coldly. Of course. Having an unmarried daughter is a family disgrace. Ashley is marrying into a fine family, so she can't show them an embarrassment like you. Those words cut through Olivia's heart. Mom, am I an embarrassment to you? 34 years old, single, and with no sign of getting married. You're a failure as a Watson daughter, Martha said cruelly. Does Dad feel the same way? Olivia asked in a trembling voice. Harold, standing in the corner of the living room, looked down. Olivia, this is a difficult matter, considering Ashley's future. So Dad also agrees with excluding me, tears welled up in Olivia's eyes. She left her parents' home. The sense of alienation she had felt since childhood now overwhelmed her completely. Olivia walked unconsciously, and before she knew it, she was standing in front of the cafe near Central Park that she frequented. As she entered the cafe and gazed blankly out the window, a voice called from behind. Olivia. Turning around, there stood Robert Carter. He was the president of Premier Properties, and a familiar face she occasionally saw at this cafe. Robert, Olivia smiled in surprise. Hello. Alone? Robert asked. May I join you, if you don't mind? As Robert sat down, he noticed Olivia's red eyes. Are you okay? Did something happen? Normally, Olivia would have answered, nothing, but today was different. She told him about her sister, the wedding she wasn't invited to, and her parents' cold response. No way. Robert's face clouded. That's unbelievable. I'm especially surprised that Ashley used my company's values as an excuse. Premier Properties is a company that values diversity and respects individual lifestyles. I see. Olivia nodded slightly. But maybe I really am a disgrace to my family. Not at all, Robert said earnestly. Olivia, you've chosen your own path and succeeded. That's something to be proud of. That night, they had dinner together at a small restaurant in Manhattan. The more they talked, the more they realized there was a strange resonance between them. Ashley works for your company, doesn't she? Olivia suddenly said. Yes, Robert nodded. She's a capable employee, but the prejudiced corporate culture she described doesn't exist in my company. As the night deepened, their conversation shifted from work and family to personal dreams and hopes. Olivia felt a sense of security she hadn't experienced in a long time. Over the next few weeks, Olivia and Robert's relationship deepened rapidly. They talked about each other's companies, shared future dreams, and sometimes discussed past pain. I'd like to keep our relationship secret for a while, Robert suggested one night. For business reasons. I'm Ashley's direct supervisor, and also James's boss. I want to maintain a professional relationship. Olivia showed understanding. Of course. I feel the same way. If Ashley found out about our relationship now, she would surely. She might get jealous, Robert continued. 2 weeks before the wedding, Robert invited Olivia for a picnic in Central Park. Olivia, Robert took her hand. Since meeting you, my life has changed. You're not just beautiful, but intelligent, caring, and strong. He took a small box from his pocket. Olivia Watson, will you marry me? Olivia gasped with surprise and joy. Robert, yes, gladly. They embraced and kissed. At that moment, a thought crossed Olivia's mind. Robert, what about Ashley's wedding? What are you planning to do? I'm invited as the company president. And I intend to go with my fiancé, Robert smiled. But Ashley. If she invited me, she must accept my companion, Robert said. That's social etiquette. But I don't want to ruin her wedding. We won't ruin anything, Robert declared. We're just attending the ceremony. Olivia made up her mind. All right. We'll go together. It wasn't just about revenge. Olivia wanted to show her own worth by appearing proudly with someone who recognized her value. And my mother will finally not be able to say, an unmarried daughter is the family's disgrace, she laughed softly. You are no one's disgrace. You are my pride, Olivia, Robert kissed her cheek. And so they planned to reveal the truth on the day of Ashley's wedding. It wasn't just revenge, but part of Olivia's journey to reclaim her self-worth. On the morning of the wedding day, sunshine streamed into the luxury hotel, Grand Regency, in Manhattan, which was bustling with preparations for Ashley and James's lavish wedding. Pure white roses and lilies adorned the venue, and crystal chandeliers glittered from the ceiling. Olivia was carefully preparing in her apartment, a short distance from the hotel. She chose a silver-gray silk dress. It was elegant yet somehow eye-catching. 1 hour until her appointment with Robert. She stood in front of the mirror and took a deep breath. Today isn't just about revenge, she reminded herself. This is a day for me. Meanwhile, in the hotel's bridal suite, Ashley was surrounded by makeup artists and hairstylists. Her expression mixed tension and excitement. Everything will be perfect today, Ashley smiled at her reflection in the mirror. I'll make a good impression on James's family. Especially his mother. Martha entered the room and embraced her daughter. Ashley, you look truly beautiful. The pride of the Watson family. In the lobby, James was chatting with friends, but occasionally checking his watch, showing signs of unease. He knew his boss Robert was coming, which put considerable pressure on him. Right on time, Olivia met Robert in front of the hotel. He was dressed in a deep navy suit and his eyes lit up when he saw Olivia. You look beautiful, he took her hand. Ready? Olivia took a deep breath and nodded. Yes, let's go. They entered the hotel lobby with confidence. At the reception, a young woman with a guest list looked at them with a confused expression. Your name? She asked. Robert Carter, Robert answered confidently. "And this is my fiancée, Olivia Watson." The woman looked at the list and frowned. "Mr. Carter is listed here, but Ms. Watson's name is." "She's my companion," Robert said in a calm but firm voice. "Surely the company president can attend, and my fiancé as well." The woman hesitated for a moment but quickly regained her smile and guided them. "Of course. This way please." In the grandly decorated grand ballroom, many guests were already seated. Family and close friends sat in the front rows, while other company associates and friends sat toward the back. Soft classical music played, creating an elegant atmosphere. As Olivia and Robert entered the venue, several eyes turned to them, and soon a small murmur spread. Olivia saw the surprised expressions of familiar guests and straightened her back, though nervous. Martha, seated in the front row, turned around and upon seeing Olivia and Robert, the blood drained from her face. She immediately whispered something to Harold beside her. Harold also turned around and wore a surprised expression. In the preparation room, Ashley was making final adjustments. One of her friends rushed into the room. "Ashley, something terrible is happening," the friend said breathlessly. "Olivia is here. And she's with Robert Carter." "What?" Ashley's face turned pale. "Olivia is here. Even though I didn't invite her." Meanwhile, in the venue, James noticed Robert and hurriedly approached. "President, thank you for coming," James said, forcing a smile. However, his eyes showed confusion when he saw Olivia. "But why is Olivia?" "James, congratulations," Robert said calmly. "She's my companion." "Is there a problem?" "No, of course." James stumbled over his words. "Just, Ashley." "Ashley what?" Olivia asked in a gentle voice. James answered, choosing his words carefully. "She might be surprised. But of course, you're welcome." At this moment, Martha approached. She wore a fake smile, but her eyes were cold, unable to hide her anger. "Olivia, I didn't expect you to come," she said in a low voice. "You weren't invited." "Hello, Mother," Olivia replied calmly. "I came as Robert's companion." "You know he's invited, don't you?" "Mr. Carter," Martha turned to Robert, suddenly becoming amiable. "Welcome. But if you had informed us earlier." "Is there a problem?" Robert asked calmly. Martha was at a loss for words and left. She immediately went to the preparation room to inform Ashley of the situation. Music announcing the start of the ceremony began to play. As guests took their seats, Ashley's father Harold appeared from the preparation room to escort his daughter. However, his expression showed anxiety. Olivia and Robert quietly sat in the back row. A quiet tension lingered between them, but Robert gently held Olivia's hand, giving her reassurance. "Are you all right?" he asked softly. "Yes," Olivia smiled. "Because you're with me." The ceremony began, and James stood at the altar with his attendants. Then the wedding march rang out, and Ashley entered on Harold's arm. She was wrapped in a beautiful wedding dress, radiating so brightly that everyone was captivated. However, when her eyes rested on Olivia and Robert, her expression froze for a moment. Nevertheless, the ceremony proceeded smoothly, and the couple exchanged vows and rings. When the minister declared, "I now pronounce you husband and wife," loud applause erupted from the venue. After the ceremony, it was time for photographs. During the family photos, Martha tried to exclude Olivia, but Harold insisted Olivia should be included, causing a brief argument. In the end, Olivia said, "It's okay, Dad. I can take separate photos later," diffusing the situation. Before the reception began, Robert headed to the stage and took the microphone. As this wasn't in the program, a silence spread across the venue. "Everyone, I'm honored to be part of this special day," Robert began in a calm voice. "James is an important member of my company, and I sincerely wish him and Ashley happiness." The guests applauded politely. Ashley was smiling next to James, but her eyes couldn't hide her anxiety. "And I'd like to take this opportunity to share some happy news of my own," Robert continued. "I am engaged to Olivia Watson." The venue was enveloped in complete silence, followed by a small murmur. The blood drained from Ashley's face, and Martha turned pale. James looked at Robert with a confused expression. "I'm very proud of Olivia and her success," Robert said, looking around the room. "She has built her career without dedicating herself to marriage. And now, she has come here today as my fiancée." Olivia slowly stood up and stepped forward to stand beside Robert. The murmur in the venue grew louder. Martha began to say, "This can't be." But Olivia continued. "Mother, you said, an unmarried daughter is the family's disgrace," Olivia said in a quiet but strong voice. "But I'm no longer unmarried. I'm engaged to Robert. I've even acquired the one thing you value, marriage. But the difference is, I'm marrying someone I love. Not for status or appearances." Ashley's face reddened with anger and humiliation, and James repeatedly apologized to Robert. "President, I'm truly sorry. We didn't know." Robert calmly raised his hand, interrupting James. "There's no need to apologize, James. Today is your day. We came to celebrate that." And turning to James and Ashley with a serious expression, he continued, "But I'd like to say one thing. At my company, we respect individual circumstances and choices. People should be respected regardless of their family structure or marital status. I expect the same from you as a couple." The guests, though surprised by this unexpected turn, nodded quietly to Robert's words. Martha tried to smooth things over. "Of course, Mr. Carter," she said in a sweet voice. "We think the same way. We cherish Olivia very much." "Mom," Olivia said in a gentle yet firm voice. "That's enough. Today is Ashley's day. I don't intend to interfere with her." The reception proceeded as planned, with music playing, food being served, and speeches being given. However, the atmosphere had already changed. Many guests showed interest in Olivia and Robert, approaching to offer congratulations. Colleagues in particular paid their respects to Olivia as Robert's fiancée. Ashley maintained a smile on the surface, but anger and jealousy flickered in her eyes. Her perfect day had been overshadowed by her sister's unexpected appearance and engagement announcement. When it was time for dancing, Robert invited Olivia to the dance floor. Many guests looked on with admiration as the two danced gracefully. "No regrets about today?" Robert whispered in her ear. "None at all," Olivia smiled. "I've reclaimed my worth. And because you were with me." That evening, before Ashley and James departed for their honeymoon, Olivia and Robert bid them farewell. "Congratulations, Ashley," Olivia said to her sister. "Be happy." Ashley looked at Olivia with a complex expression. Her eyes mixed anger and a hint of regret. "Let's talk about us later," Olivia added gently. "We're family." As Olivia and Robert left the hotel, she looked back, thinking of the path she had walked. The rejection from her family, and today's events, it wasn't just revenge, it was her liberation. "Ready?" Robert took her hand. "Yes," Olivia smiled. "For a new beginning." As stars shone in the night sky, the two walked hand in hand. This day for Olivia wasn't just her sister's wedding day, but a day she reaffirmed her own worth. And with someone who truly loved and respected her, she took her first step towards a new family. The reception continued with elegant music and brilliant lighting. About 30 minutes after Olivia and Robert's engagement announcement, the initial shock had subsided, but guests were still buzzing about the couple. "That editor woman is engaged to Robert Carter. Did you know she's Ashley's sister? Apparently she wasn't invited. President Carter and Ashley's sister. This is surprising." Such whispers spread from table to table. While being sociable, Olivia noticed that Ashley was nowhere to be seen. James maintained his smile while talking to guests, but his eyes occasionally glanced toward the door, showing an anxious expression. Where's Ashley? Robert asked James. I think she's taking a break, James answered, trying to cover up. She'll be back soon, I'm sure. However, Olivia sensed the situation. She whispered to Robert, I'll go find her. Olivia quietly left the venue and walked down the hotel corridor. She stopped in front of what she thought was the bride's lounge and knocked lightly. Ashley. It's me, Olivia. After a moment of silence, a faint, come in, was heard. Entering the room, she found Ashley standing by the window, still in her wedding dress. Her eyes were red and swollen with tears. Congratulations, Ashley, Olivia said quietly. I didn't mean to ruin your special day. Ashley turned around with an angry expression. Lies. You did it on purpose. Announcing your engagement with Robert at my wedding. I just came with Robert, Olivia replied calmly. He was invited. And he just wanted to introduce his fiancée. But why today? Ashley's voice trembled. Why on my special day? This happened because you excluded me, Olivia said sadly. I'm your sister, Ashley. You thought your blood sister was embarrassing just because I was unmarried. At those words, a flash of regret appeared in Ashley's eyes. But she quickly returned to a defensive attitude. I just wanted to make a good impression on James's family. You don't understand. I tried to understand, Olivia said quietly. But family means supporting and respecting each other. You and Mom thought I was a disgrace just because I'm not married. Can you imagine how much that hurts? Suddenly, the door opened, and Martha came in. Her expression was hard and tense. What are you two? She began, but stopped when she saw Ashley's tear-stained face. Ashley, are you okay? Mom, we were just talking, Olivia said. Martha stared at Olivia, and it was clear her expression was gradually changing. A momentary guilt seemed to flash in her eyes. Olivia, Martha said in an unusually soft voice. I'm sorry for hurting you. Please forgive an old mother's prejudice. Olivia was surprised by these words, but quickly saw through the hidden intention behind her mother's eyes. It wasn't a sincere apology, but just putting on an act now that she knew about the relationship with Robert Carter. Mom, Olivia looked straight into Martha's eyes. Have you ever really tried to understand me? You thought I was the family's disgrace just because I was unmarried. That's not true, Martha said defensively. I was just worried. But now, knowing you're engaged to such a wonderful man like Robert, I'm truly happy. I chose a person who respects me, not a title, Olivia said quietly. Whoever Robert might be, I chose him because he loves me and respects my choices. Ashley was watching their exchange with a complex expression. Her eyes showed anger and a hint of envy. Olivia, Ashley suddenly spoke up. I. Guests are waiting, Ashley, Martha took her daughter's arm. It's your wedding. Let's fix your makeup. Olivia was curious about what Ashley was trying to say, but didn't pursue it. Today was Ashley's day. She just smiled and said, James is worried. Let's go back. Olivia paused before leaving the room and turned back. True family means supporting and respecting each other. I'll be creating a new family with Robert. But I still want to cherish my bond with you all. Whenever you're ready. She closed the door and began walking down the hallway. Robert was waiting for her. Are you okay? He asked worriedly. Yes, Olivia smiled. I'm fine now. They held hands and returned to the reception. Music was playing, and people were dancing on the dance floor. James noticed them and looked relieved. Soon after, Ashley returned with Martha. Her makeup had been fixed, and she had regained her smile, but something different lingered in her eyes. Olivia and Ashley's gazes crossed for a moment, and an unspoken understanding flowed between them. Today became not just a wedding, but a day that brought a new turning point in the relationship between the two sisters. The reception continued, and Olivia felt a true victory wrapped in Robert's love. It wasn't just revenge, but the joy of finding someone who recognized her worth. And she quietly hoped that one day, her relationship with her family would also heal. Ashley's wedding proceeded as planned, but the rift that had formed in the family couldn't be easily repaired. However, beyond that rift, a new possibility of understanding and respect had begun to emerge. Olivia believed in that and had begun walking forward. A year later, on a sunny Sunday, a small party was held in Central Park. It was a private gathering to celebrate Olivia and Robert's first wedding anniversary. The two had a small ceremony with just close friends half a year after the wedding day, and now lived in a peaceful happiness. Cheers! As friends raised their glasses, Robert squeezed Olivia's hand. To my beloved wife. Thank you for enriching my life. Olivia smiled and kissed Robert. She still pursued her career as before, but had found new happiness with Robert. The couple had just started a charity for an educational program for underprivileged children. They're here, one of the friends whispered. When Olivia turned around, Ashley and James were standing at the park entrance. They approached with somewhat anxious expressions. Congratulations, Ashley said in a small voice, offering a bouquet of flowers. Thank you for inviting us. I'm glad you could come, Olivia answered sincerely. Ashley and James's married life hadn't been as smooth as imagined. James had expected a promotion at Robert's company, but Robert calmly evaluated his abilities and character, deciding he wasn't suitable for a higher position. As a result, the luxurious life Ashley had dreamed of had not materialized. How's work? Olivia asked gently. It's okay, Ashley answered with a slightly tired expression. But lately, I've been rethinking my own career. Not just relying on James's promotion. Olivia noticed the change in Ashley. Her eyes no longer held shallow ambition, but a light of deeper self-understanding. Let me know if there's anything I can help with, Olivia said sincerely. Thank you, Ashley answered honestly. Later that afternoon, Martha and Harold also appeared. Martha hugged Olivia and kissed her cheek. Lovely party, Olivia. I read your new article. It was wonderful. Thank you, Mom, Olivia smiled, but her smile mixed with a little caution. Over the past year, Martha had tried to repair her relationship with Olivia. However, her attitude still sometimes showed signs of calculation. I'm so happy you married such a fine man as Robert, Martha said, tilting her wine glass. As a daughter of the Watson family, you made an excellent choice. I chose a person who respects me, not a title, Mom, Olivia said quietly. That's what's wonderful about Robert. Martha was momentarily lost for words, but quickly regained her smile. Of course, that's what matters. Meanwhile, Harold had moved a little away from Martha's influence and was trying to build a better relationship with Olivia. He took his daughter's arm and walked to a spot a little distance away. Daughter, I was wrong, Harold said with a serious expression. For not being able to protect you on that wedding day, can you forgive me? Dad, Olivia held his hand. It might take time, but let's start over. You're my father. Tears gleamed in Harold's eyes. Thank you. I'm proud of your strength and kindness. As the day began to wane, Olivia found Ashley sitting alone on a bench. She quietly sat down beside her. What are you thinking about? Olivia asked gently. You, Ashley said after a moment of silence. I was jealous of you. Always. You forged your own path and succeeded. I just dreamed of becoming someone's wife. There's nothing wrong with that, Olivia said. What's important is knowing what you want. And being with someone who respects your choices. Ashley smiled. I've started to realize that recently. James and I have been talking a lot about our future. He's trying to change too. The two quietly gazed at the sunset. The air flowing between the sisters was filled with new understanding and respect, not the tension or jealousy of the past. That night, after all the guests had left, Olivia and Robert were looking up at the starry sky from their apartment balcony. Happy? Robert put his arm around her shoulder. Very, Olivia smiled. My relationship with my family is getting better little by little. Some things take time, Robert said. But with love and respect, you can overcome anything. Olivia looked up at the night sky, reflecting on her journey over the past year. The family that once said, "An unmarried daughter is the family's disgrace," was now beginning to change. Through pain, and through her own strength and kindness, they were learning that the true value of family lies in love and respect. Olivia squeezed Robert's hand, thinking of the future. In her eyes shone a light of new hope.